The Forgotten Shadow. The night was calm, but in the control room of a small observatory, the silence was broken by a strange sound. It was not the sound of static, nor the ordinary background noise of space. It was a signal, repeating again and again with sharp tones that no human ear had heard before. The young scientist on duty, Daniel, leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the glowing screen. At first he thought it was a mistake, maybe interference, maybe a glitch in the system. But as the sound played again, clear and steady, he realized it was something real, something alive. The transmission carried symbols, glowing lines and curves, nothing like human language. Daniel's heart raced. He copied the data, sent it to the higher stations, and called his supervisor. In less than an hour, the small observatory was crowded with experts. Everyone spoke in whispers, as if afraid the signal might hear them. The codes repeated every few hours, never changing, never stopping. It was as if someone or something was calling out from deep within the Earth itself. Days later, scientists confirmed the impossible. The signal was not coming from space, it was coming from beneath the ice of Antarctica, miles under frozen layers that had never melted. Something was alive. Something was sending a call. The world's governments were informed, but the news was hidden from the public. Only a few people knew the truth, and even fewer were allowed to go near the site. The words, spoken inside, secret. Meetings carried the same fear. If something is down there, who put it there and why is it calling now? In the frozen white deserts of Antarctica, a team of explorers stood above the marked location. Machines drilled into the ice. Sensors scanned deep below. Slowly, a giant shape began to appear in the data. It was not a natural formation. It was not rock. It was not ice. It was a ship. Massive, silent, and older than any human history. The lead archaeologist whispered, "This thing was here before the pyramids, before our cities, maybe before our species." The discovery shook the team. They touched the frozen walls above the hidden structure, and for a moment some of them felt vibrations. It was as if the thing below was not dead, but sleeping. One soldier guarding the site said later, "I felt it like a heartbeat under the ice." Nobody wanted to believe him, but deep down, many felt the same. The air around the site carried a strange weight, a pressure that made breathing uneasy. Meanwhile, high in orbit, hidden in the dark void, something else had awakened far from Earth in the silent stretches of space. A fleet of ships moved. They were not human ships, they were not born of Earth. Their designs were sharp, alien, glowing with ancient power. The fleet had been waiting, drifting for thousands of years, silent watchers in the dark. And now, the signal from Earth had reached them. The voice of their lost ship had called, and they were answering. On Earth, Daniel continued to listen to the signal. The strange tones grew stronger, almost louder, like a voice gaining strength after a long sleep. He dreamed at night of shadows moving beneath the ice, of eyes watching him from the deep. The message inside the codes was still unknown. No one could break the alien language. But one thing was clear. This was not random, this was not chance. The ship below the ice wanted something, it was calling someone. One night, Daniel stood outside the observatory, looking at the stars. The cold wind cut against his face, but his mind burned with questions. He wondered if humans were alone, if they were meant to find this, or if they were only unlucky to stumble upon it. He whispered to himself, "Maybe it's not us they are calling, maybe they are calling the ones who left it here." And far away in the black sea of space, the fleet of ancient ships drew closer to Earth. Their long journey was ending, their lost treasure was waiting, and humanity, without knowing it, was about to face the forgotten shadow of the universe. The story had only just begun. The arrival. Sky above Earth was calm, filled with stars, silent and endless, but in the far edges of the solar system, something was moving, something vast. Dark silhouettes slid between the orbits of frozen rocks, silent as shadows. They were ships, alien ships, massive and ancient, drifting with purpose. Their surfaces were black metal that swallowed light. their edges glowing with strange blue fire. And for the first time in 30,000 years, they had turned toward Earth. The fleet did not rush. It moved like hunters who already knew their prey could not escape. Each ship was longer than a city, shaped with curves no human engineer could imagine. Some looked like blades, others like living creatures, all of them alive in their own way. Their cores pulsed with power, their hulls scarred with memories of old wars. They had waited in the dark between stars, sleeping, hidden, patient, and when the buried warship under Antarctica called, they awoke. And now they were coming home. Back on Earth, the first sign was seen by an astronomer in Chile. A glowing dot appeared at the edge of his telescope's field. At first, he thought it was an asteroid, but then it grew larger and larger, and then many more appeared. He checked his instruments again, disbelief freezing his hands. He called his supervisor, his voice shaking. "They are moving too fast, too perfect. This is not natural." The next morning, space agencies across the world confirmed it. Unknown objects had entered the solar system, dozens of them, and they were heading straight for Earth. Governments panicked, but they did not tell the people. Not yet. Meetings were held in dark rooms, voices raised, fists slammed on tables. Some leaders wanted to prepare weapons, others wanted to hide, others whispered of surrender, but none of them could deny the truth. These ships were far beyond anything humans had built. They could cross the stars while humanity was still crawling to the moon. Against such power, Earth was like a child holding a stone against an army of giants. In orbit, satellites watched helplessly as the alien fleet crossed Neptune, then Jupiter, then Mars, moving with silent grace. They did not stop. They did not answer radio calls, they simply moved. When they reached Earth's orbit, the sky changed forever. Civilians on night shifts looked up and gasped. Strange shadows blocked the stars, glowing arcs floated across the heavens. Hundreds of millions saw them, filmed them, and the world exploded with fear. But the aliens did not attack. They only waited. Dozens of ships formed a ring around Earth, hanging silently. Their weapons were hidden, but their power was clear. It was like a pack of wolves circling a campfire, watching, judging, deciding. The people of Earth trembled, asking the same question: what do they want? In a secret base beneath Geneva, leaders gathered with trembling hands. Messages were sent into orbit, carefully written in every language of Earth, simple greetings, offers of peace, calls for understanding. For days there was no answer. The silence was heavier than any threat. Then finally, one ship moved closer, breaking the ring. It descended. Through the clouds, slow and controlled, the ground shook as it hovered above the frozen plains of Antarctica, the place where the buried ship waited. The alien vessel was enormous, larger than the tallest human towers. Its hull shimmered with symbols that burned like fire. Every camera in the world turned toward it. People watching screamed, prayed, cried, some even cheered. The world was united in fear and wonder. And then, for the first time, the aliens spoke. The voice was not human. It was deep, layered, echoing as if 1,000 voices spoke at once. The translation machines struggled, words breaking into strange patterns. But one phrase was clear, repeated again and again: "Return what is ours." The leaders of Earth froze, staring at each other in disbelief. They knew what the aliens wanted: the ship beneath the ice. The lost warship that humans had discovered but never understood. It was their treasure, their weapon, their shadow from the past. And now they had come to take it back. In the control room, Daniel, the young scientist who had first heard the signal, listened in horror. His heart beat fast, his hands shook. He whispered to himself, "They are not here for us, they are here for what sleeps below." But deep down he feared something worse. What if the aliens did not plan to leave after recovering their ship? What if Earth itself was part of what they believed belonged to them? The alien fleet remained in the skies, silent, patient, waiting. No attack, no retreat, no mercy. Only the cold demand. The leaders of Earth faced the greatest choice in history: to give up the ship or to resist. But even as they argued, one truth spread through every mind. The arrival was only the beginning. The human response. The world was shaking with fear, but the people did not know the whole truth. Governments had hidden the discovery under Antarctica. They had hidden the strange signal. But now, with alien ships circling Earth, silence was no longer possible. In crowded cities, people looked up at the glowing shapes above the clouds. Some prayed to the sky, others shouted in anger. Some stood frozen in awe. The world had changed overnight, and no one could return to the life before. Inside the United Nations headquarters, leaders gathered in panic. Generals spoke of war, scientists warned of extinction, politicians shouted. At one another, the room was filled with fear, and no voice carried calm. A man from Europe said, "We cannot fight them. They cross the stars. We are insects to them." A general from America slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot simply kneel. If we give them what they want, we will never be free again." Others whispered of surrender, of offering the ship under the ice as a gift, but no choice seemed safe. No path seemed clear. Far away in a hidden military base, soldiers prepared weapons. Missiles were loaded. Jets stood ready. Secret projects were activated. But deep inside, everyone knew the truth. Human weapons were small compared to alien power. Still, pride and fear demanded action. Some leaders believed resistance was the only way to show strength. Others argued that a single mistake could bring the end of all humanity. The aliens did not wait for long. Their ship in Antarctica hovered above the frozen plains. Its shadow, stretching for miles, the ground cracked under its weight. The air buzzed with strange energy. From its surface, a beam of light shot down, burning a hole into the ice. Within minutes, the buried warship was uncovered further, shining with alien metal. The demand echoed again across every frequency. "Return what is ours." The world's leaders were forced to send a response. They chose a group of scientists, diplomats, and soldiers to make first contact. They were carried on helicopters across the white desert, hearts heavy with fear. Among them was Daniel, the young scientist who first heard the signal. He was chosen because he had spent the most time studying the strange code. But in his mind, he wondered if this was not an honor but a punishment. He whispered to himself, "I called them, and now I must face them." When the humans approached the alien vessel, their bodies trembled. The ship hummed like a giant heart, its surface alive with flowing light. A door opened, tall and silent, glowing with blue fire. Figures emerged, their forms tall and thin, their armor sharp and ancient. Their eyes burned like molten gold, their movements graceful and slow. They were not human, yet they carried themselves with the pride of kings for the first time in 30,000 years. The builders of the lost ship had returned. One of them spoke, his voice layered like thunder in a cave. The translator cracked, then found meaning. "This world holds what belongs to us. You will return it." The humans stood in silence, every word heavy with danger. The diplomat chosen to speak stepped forward, his voice shaking. "We are the guardians of this planet. The ship has been buried here for ages. We cannot give it without knowing your purpose." The alien tilted his head, his golden eyes unblinking. "Purpose is not yours to ask. Return it or be removed." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He wanted to speak, but fear closed his mouth. He thought of the signal, the heartbeat under the ice, the dreams that haunted him. Something inside whispered that the ship was not only theirs, not anymore. That, maybe it belonged to Earth now. But how could he say such a thing before these beings of power and wrath? The meeting ended without agreement. The humans returned to their camp, voices raised, decisions torn apart. Some argued they must surrender the ship to save lives. Others swore it must be defended, that giving it would only lead to chains. Daniel sat alone, staring at the frozen ground. He felt a truth rising inside him, a truth no one wanted to face. The aliens had come not just for the ship, but perhaps for Earth itself, and humanity stood on the edge of war. In orbit, the alien fleet tightened its circle, their weapons still silent, but their presence pressing like a weight on the world. Every person on Earth felt the same fear, the same question. Would tomorrow bring peace, or would tomorrow bring fire from the skies? And beneath the ice, the buried warship pulsed again, Its ancient heart beat louder, faster, as if it was waiting to choose its master, waiting to awaken. The human response had begun, but the real test was yet to come. Secrets under the ice. The storm over Antarctica raged for 3 days, but the alien ship above the ice did not move. It floated like a silent mountain of steel and light, its shadow stretching across the frozen desert. The humans below worked day and night, drilling, scanning, digging deeper into the ice. Every strike of the drill revealed more of the massive buried ship. Its hull was black, shining even beneath the frost, carved with alien marks that glowed faintly. It was not dead, not silent, it was waiting. Daniel stood near the edge of the excavation site, snow biting his skin. His breath turned to mist as he stared at the monstrous shape beneath the ground. The warship stretched for miles, larger than any human city. Its curves were not designed. By human hands, they looked alive. Sometimes, when the wind fell silent, Daniel thought he could hear a hum rising from it. A heartbeat, slow and deep, pulsing through the ice. Soldiers guarded the site, their weapons ready but their hands shaking. They had been told to protect the scientists, but all of them knew the truth. If the aliens above wished to strike, no weapon on Earth could save them. Still, pride kept them standing in the cold, their eyes locked on the sky. Above them, the alien ship's lights shimmered, as if watching. Every human move, the pressure of unseen eyes weighed heavily on their hearts. Inside a heated tent, leaders argued once again. Some said the warship should be handed over immediately. Others demanded it be studied first, claiming it might hold secrets that could save humanity. Daniel was called in to speak, his voice quiet but firm. This ship is not just metal, it is alive. It has been calling, but not only to them, it has been calling to us as well. The room fell silent. The generals exchanged glances, the diplomats frowned. No one wanted to believe his words, yet no one could dismiss them either. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He walked alone toward the excavation, snow crunching under his boots. The moonlight lit the half-buried hull, a giant shadow beneath the ice. He reached out, pressing his hand against the frozen wall that touched the alien metal. A vibration passed into him, sharp and strong, his mind filled with flashes of images, burning skies, falling stars, battles fought on Earth thousands of years ago. He saw primitive humans holding spears against armored giants. He saw the warship crashing into ice, its core still glowing, still alive. Daniel gasped, falling back, the vision fading, his body trembling. The ship was not just a relic, it was a memory, and it had chosen to share it with him. The next morning, the digging reached what looked like an entrance, a vast door of black metal sealed tight, glowing faintly with strange symbols. The aliens above descended once more, their tall figures standing in the snow. Their leader raised his hand. The symbols on the door answered, burning brighter. The door shuddered. A low rumble spread through the ice. Then the entrance opened, releasing a burst of frozen air that had been trapped for millennia. The humans stared into the dark interior, fear and wonder in their eyes. The aliens stepped forward without hesitation, but the humans followed close behind. Inside, the air was heavy, thick with the scent of ancient metal and frozen time. Lights along the walls glowed faintly, awakening after ages of silence. The corridors stretched endlessly, filled with strange patterns. Machines lined the halls, their forms unknown, their purpose forgotten. One soldier whispered, "It's like walking inside a beast that has been sleeping." Every step echoed, reminding them they were trespassers in a place not made for them. Deep inside the ship, they reached a chamber filled with glowing pillars. Strange holograms flickered to life, showing battles fought long ago. The aliens stood silent, their golden eyes fixed on the images. The humans watched in awe as the holograms showed Earth burning under alien fire. But then something unexpected appeared. It showed humans, primitive and weak, yet fighting back, spears and arrows thrown. Against alien machines and yet against all odds, the great warship was struck down. It fell into the ice, defeated, abandoned, left to sleep. The aliens turned toward the humans, their eyes hard, their voices cold. This world defied us once. It will not defy us again. Daniel's heart pounded, his mind still burning with the vision he had felt. He understood now. The ship was not just theirs, it had connected with humanity. Maybe it had seen something in humans long ago, something worth remembering. He stepped forward, his voice breaking the silence. The ship remembers us. It has shown me the past. It does not belong to you alone. It belongs to this world now. The aliens glared at him, their hands tightening on strange weapons at their sides. The soldiers raised their rifles, tension like fire in the air. One wrong move could turn the chamber into a battlefield. But before a shot could be fired, the ship itself spoke. The walls vibrated, the floor trembled, the pillars burned with sudden light. A deep voice echoed through the chamber. Not alien, not human, but something greater. The message was clear, though no words. The truth of the past. The chamber deep inside the buried warship glowed brighter than before. Columns of light rose around the humans and the aliens, painting shadows on their faces. The air shook with a low hum, like a voice building strength after a long silence. Then the walls lit up with streams of glowing symbols flowing like rivers of fire. The ship was speaking, not in words, but in visions, and every eye inside the chamber was forced to see. The first image was of Earth long ago, 30,000 years in the past. Forests stretched where deserts now stood. Giant animals roamed the land. And above the skies came the alien fleet, vast and merciless. Their ships rained fire on mountains. Their armies marched across plains. Earth was not their home. It was their conquest. They came for power, for resources, for something hidden in this world that only they desired. Then came the humans of that age. They were not like the humans of today. They were fewer, scattered, and armed with only stone and fire. But they were brave. And when the invaders struck, they fought back. Spears against armored giants, arrows against machines of fire. Every battle seemed hopeless. Every defense was crushed. But the humans did not bend. They did not surrender. They bled and they resisted. The vision shifted to the great warship itself. It soared through the skies of ancient Earth, its weapons burning cities of stone and wood. It seemed unstoppable, a god of destruction. But then came a night unlike any other. The stars above burned bright and strange lights filled the heavens. From the skies came fire, not from aliens, not from humans, but from something else. A power unseen, a mystery unknown. Bolts of energy tore through the alien fleet, ripping ships apart like paper. The great warship was struck, its engines screaming, its fire dying. It fell from the sky, crashing into the southern ice, where it would sleep for ages. The aliens watching the vision growled in anger. They remembered the battle. They remembered the shame of losing their most powerful ship. Their leader stepped forward, his golden eyes blazing. It was not humans who defeated us. It was another force, one you cannot understand. But Daniel's heart raced, his mind burning with the images. He had seen the humans of the past. He had felt their courage. He whispered, maybe they did not strike the final blow, but they endured. They survived. And that was their victory. The ship's visions continued, showing humans gathering around its broken hull. They were primitive, yet they touched the fallen giant without fear. Some prayed to it as a god, others feared it as a demon. But the ship remembered their touch, their eyes, their voices. It stored their images, their defiance, their will to survive. And now, 30,000 years later, it showed those memories to Daniel. The ship had not forgotten humanity. It carried their spirit within its core. The humans in the chamber stared in silence, their pride rising like fire in their chests. The soldiers clenched their fists, realizing their ancestors had stood against impossible odds. Even the diplomats, once trembling, now stood taller. But the aliens seethed with fury, their armor glowing with hidden energy. You were insects then. You are insects now, their leader hissed. This ship was ours. It will be ours again. Nothing has changed. But Daniel stepped forward, his voice firm for the first time. Something has changed. The ship has chosen to show us the past. It remembers us, not you. It knows we belong to this world. It knows we are its guardians now. The chamber shook as if answering his words. The walls pulsed. The lights grew stronger. The heartbeat of the ship thundered through the ice. The aliens raised their weapons, ready to silence him. But the ship roared, a sound like thunder ripping across the heavens. Everyone fell to the ground, their ears ringing, their eyes burning with light. More visions came, stranger than before. They showed a shadow in the stars, a force that had destroyed part of the alien fleet. But its form was hidden, its nature unknown. The ship's memory blurred, as if it too did not fully understand what had saved Earth. Daniel gasped, his mind racing. There was another enemy, another power beyond even them, he whispered. If such a force still existed, what did it mean for humanity now? Was it a protector, or was it a predator waiting to return? The visions faded, the light dimmed, silence fell once more. The humans rose slowly, their faces pale but proud. The aliens stood in silence, their anger burning hotter than ever. Their leader spoke again, his voice heavy with threat. Return the ship, or we will erase you, as we should have done long ago. The humans did not answer, but in their eyes there was no fear. They had seen the truth of their past. They had seen the courage of their ancestors. And deep within the buried warship, the ancient heart beat louder. It had shown its memories. It had revealed the truth, but it had not yet chosen its future master. Outside, the storm raged across Antarctica. Above, the alien fleet circled the skies like vultures. On the ground, soldiers tightened their grips on rifles. Scientists wrote notes with shaking hands. Daniel looked once more at the alien leader, then at the glowing walls of the ship. He whispered to himself, "The past is not finished, and neither is the future." The truth of the past had been revealed, but it was only the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. The choice. The air inside the buried warship was heavy with silence. The visions of the past had faded, but their weight still hung over everyone. Humans stood on one side of the glowing chamber, aliens on the other. Between them pulsed the living walls of the ship, beating like a heart. The tension was sharp. One wrong word could spark a war. Outside, the storm of Antarctica grew stronger, winds howling against the ice. Above, the alien fleet circled in quiet menace, their shadows crossing the skies of Earth. The world below held its breath, waiting, watching, fearing. Governments broadcast messages of calm, but panic spread across cities. Everyone knew the truth. A choice was coming, and it would decide the fate of Earth. In the chamber, the alien leader spoke first, his voice like thunder layered with fire. "You have seen your past. You have seen your weakness. The ship is ours. Return it now, or face the same fate as your ancestors." His golden eyes burned with fury, his tall form towering over the humans. The soldiers among the humans raised their weapons slightly, their fingers trembling. But Daniel raised his hand, begging them to wait. He knew one shot could end everything in fire. The diplomat stepped forward, his voice steady but pale. "This world belongs to humanity now. We cannot give away what rests in our land without knowing what you will do with it." The alien laughed, the sound cold, sharp, filled with disdain. "We will do what we must. This ship holds our power, our memory, our right. You have no claim." Daniel felt the ship hum again, as if disagreeing with the alien words. He whispered under his breath, "No, it remembers us too." Back at the United Nations, leaders argued through endless hours. Some demanded the ship be given to the aliens to save humanity from destruction. Others screamed that giving it away meant surrender, slavery, the end of human freedom. One leader said, "If we refuse, we may die. If we agree, we may live as servants. What is worse?" No one had an answer. Fear twisted every word. The fate of the world rested on a choice no one wanted to make. Meanwhile, Daniel was called to a private meeting in the human camp. Generals, scientists, and politicians surrounded him, their faces lined with exhaustion. "You saw visions from the ship," one of them said. "You felt its power. Tell us, can it be ours? Can it be used by humans?" Daniel hesitated, the memory of the visions burning in his mind. He remembered the courage of ancient humans, the roar of the falling warship, the unknown fire in the sky. He said softly, "The ship is alive. It chooses. It remembers. If it sees us as worthy, it may follow us. But if we fail, it may destroy us too." The room erupted in whispers and shouts. Some saw hope. Others saw doom. The aliens grew impatient, their ships above the ice charged with strange energy. Beams of light cracked through the clouds, warning shots that split the sky. The people of Earth screamed as night turned to fire. The alien leader gave his final demand. "One day more, if the ship is not returned, we will take it and we will erase this world." The deadline struck like a knife, the choice pressed heavier than ever. That night, Daniel wandered near the buried ship once more. Snow whipped across his face, but he barely felt the cold. He placed his hand on the black surface, his heart pounding. A voice, faint and deep, whispered inside his mind. Not words, not language, but a feeling. It asked, not with sound, but with meaning, "Will you fight or will you kneel?" Daniel fell to his knees, tears freezing on his face. The ship was not just asking him, it was asking all of humanity. At dawn, the world gathered in fear. Screens lit up across cities, governments prepared to speak. The people waited for the choice. Would Earth surrender or resist? In Antarctica, humans and aliens stood face to face once more. The diplomat opened his mouth to speak, but Daniel stepped forward first. His voice carried not only fear but something stronger. "This is our home. This is our world. If you want this ship, you will have to fight us for it." The chamber shook at his words, the ship's walls flaring with sudden light. The hum grew louder, deeper, echoing through the ice. The aliens drew their weapons. The humans raised theirs in return. For one heartbeat, both sides froze, the entire planet holding its breath. The warship thundered like a storm, its power shaking the ground. It had heard the choice. It had felt the defiance, and it was awake, fully awake. The alien leader snarled, fury blazing in his golden eyes. "Then your species has chosen death," he roared. But Daniel did not step back, his hands trembling, his voice steady. "No, we have chosen to live." The choice had been made. The humans had drawn their line, the aliens had made their threat. The ship had awakened, its light rising. Like a second sun beneath the ice and across the world, every human knew. The next dawn would not bring peace, the next dawn would bring war. The final twist. The ice beneath Antarctica trembled like a living thing. The buried warship pulsed with light, brighter than the sun. Its heartbeat thundered through the frozen land, shaking snow from mountains. Humans and aliens alike stumbled as the ground cracked open. The ancient vessel was no longer silent. It was awake, fully awake. The alien leader snarled, raising his weapon, his golden eyes burning with rage. "It has heard us, it has answered our call, it is ours were," he shouted. But the walls of the ship flared brighter, answering not to him, but to something else. Strange symbols burned across the floor, circling Daniel and the humans. The aliens stepped back, confusion flickering in their faces. A deep voice echoed through the chamber, not in words but in meaning. It spoke to every mind present, human and alien. "You have returned, but you are not the same. You are not my masters anymore." The alien soldiers hissed in fury, their armor glowing with sharp fire. Their leader struck the ground with his weapon, his voice booming. "You belong to us, you were built by us, you will obey us." But the warship trembled, its light burning hotter. "No, my creators abandoned me. They left me broken. I was touched by another hand. I was remembered by another." "Will." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The ship's voice was inside his mind, clearer than before. Visions burned behind his eyes. Humans of the past touching the fallen hull, refusing to surrender, refusing to kneel. The ship had not forgotten them. The ship had carried their defiance for 30,000 years, and now it recognized the same spirit in the humans standing here today. The alien leader roared, his fury shaking his words. This is impossible, it cannot choose them, they are weak, they are nothing. But the ship answered with a thunderous roar, the chamber shaking. They are not nothing. They are survivors. They are defiance. They are my masters now. Light exploded through the ship, flooding the chamber. Human soldiers shielded their eyes. Aliens staggered in disbelief. The buried warship broke free of its icy prison. The ground, splitting wide as it rose, mountains of snow fell away as the black hull emerged in full. It was massive, larger than any human city, glowing with fire older than history. The skies above cracked with lightning. The alien fleet circling above trembled in response. In every city on Earth, people looked to the skies. Screens across the world lit up with the rising shape from Antarctica. The giant warship rose into the storm, a living monument of fire and shadow. Crowds gasped, prayed, cried, their voices echoing the same question. Whose side is it on? On the ice, the alien leader gave the order. Their fleet opened fire, beams of energy lancing down toward the awakened ship. Explosions tore across the snow, fire splitting the ground, but the warship raised its shields, a sphere of light that swallowed every strike. The blasts faded into nothing, powerless against the living fortress. Then the warship responded. Its cannons roared, beams of pure energy cut across the sky. Several alien ships shattered in silence, their remains burning as they fell into the ocean. The alien fleet howled in shock, their perfect circle broken. For the first time in 30,000 years, their might was challenged. Inside the chamber, Daniel stood trembling. He felt the ship's power coursing through him, every heartbeat synced with his own. A voice whispered again, not with command, but with choice. You are my master now, guide me, or I will choose for myself. Daniel's eyes widened, his voice shaking. I cannot command such power. I am only human. The ship rumbled, the walls glowing brighter. That is why. You can, because you are human, the alien leader screamed in rage, lunging forward. But before his weapon could strike, the ship reacted. A blast of force threw him back, his body crashing into the frozen walls. He rose, broken but alive, his eyes filled with hate. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your destruction, he hissed before vanishing into a beam of light, returning to his fleet. The battle above raged on, humans on the ground watching in awe. They had no weapons, no strength compared to the war in the skies, but they knew one thing. The warship had chosen them, and that choice meant humanity was no longer helpless. Daniel stood in silence, his mind burning with the weight of destiny. The ship whispered again, its voice like thunder and wind. The war has returned, and greater enemies wait beyond the stars. Prepare your world, for this is only the beginning. The light dimmed. The ship settled above the ice, hovering like a guardian. The alien fleet pulled back into orbit, their formation broken but not destroyed. They would return, stronger, angrier, more desperate. But for now, Earth had survived, Earth had been chosen, the world below celebrated, fear mixing with pride. For the first time, humanity stood not as prey, but as something more. Daniel looked up at the glowing warship, his heart heavy with both hope and dread. He whispered, "We have been chosen, but what have we been chosen for?" The sky thundered, the ship's light blazed once more, and then silence fell. The story of 30,000 years had ended, but the war for tomorrow had only just begun.